Well, salutations! Good morning, good afternoon, and/or good evening, depending on where you find yourselves orientated within this universe. Apocalyptic, thank you very much for the follow. We hope you enjoy your stay here. We hope you are having a pleasant day. And if not, well, we hope that whatever is ailing you is easily curable. And if not, then we hope being here is something that can help alleviate that even just a little bit. So, what happened last time? Well, about that. So, let's think then. We kind of got into like the last trial and how everything went with that, and that was going fine. Everything was going fine. It was fine. Everything was going well, and then, well, turns out being the chief of police means that apparently you just get to just not testify. And not testifying means that we can't press him any further for any further information, so we're basically out of luck in that department. Not really that great, but hey, we'll make do with what we can in that regard. Unfortunately, we've only got one person left to be able to talk to, and that's Lana, who is the one being blackmailed, and that means that the likelihood of them actually testifying is going to be difficult, especially after Gaunt's like, if you testify, she'll be found, your sister will be found guilty. So, yeah, that's all, well, doing that thing, so we've got to have to deal with all of that. So, without much further ado, let's go ahead and get back on into the game, as it were. Back here. Eventually it's going to... There we go. All good. So yes, we will continue on. Rise from the ashes. We'll select the save data, and hopefully this should be fine. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Yes, it is. And there's the to be continued. Please don't say that this would have let us save right here. It would. All right. It would have let us save right here. Well, fair enough. We didn't know. But that's fine. Everything will be fine. Here we are then, February 25th. 2:21 p.m. District Courtroom number 9.
Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand?
Well, let's hope she will anyway. Now she's got to testify. Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But, Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth.
Of course. The truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Yes, that's how that works.
Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gaunt.
Everything hinges on your testimony, Lana. You're the only chance we have to get at Gaunt. Gaunt and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gaunt for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago, all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Great.
Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But, Lana!
If this is true, then that means Chief Gaunt has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. What if she's telling the truth? She's not... I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself.
The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Well, I guess our best bet is to, start by squeezing everything we can. You worked alongside Gant for years. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years.
Detective Gant and Detective Sky were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases.
She must have been good, coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective. That's why. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. But think about it, Miss Sky. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. Gah. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Did you do so to help your sister? Ah, Lucas! Salutations! It is good to see you. We hope you're doing well. Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable as self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana.
So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago?
When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. How? In what way? What did you do? You said you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the scene of the crime? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor's award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What?! But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident! That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that, yes. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me.
So, when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to.
Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. What? You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound?
And then you moved the body?
But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. But why did you do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out.
Very well, let's add this to the witness's testimony. The reason Miss Sky fabricated the knife.
I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in his body would be all the proof we needed. According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt the most effective way to get him convicted would be by having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body.
So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound?
Yes. Because I hated Dark for what he did. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. The tip of the knife was buried. It's all the proof we would need. But you had your sister's testimony as well. Like, a knife tip was in the wound. It had nothing to do with Emma. Motivation was to get Dark. It had nothing to do with Emma. Let's just press this then. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it. Period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence? She's lying. She did it so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Damn it. Well, let's see then. Mr. Wright, my sister is lying. Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end, huh? Fine. She insisted she fabricated the evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it all alone. I've got to get Lana to talk more. If she's lying, then she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. Yeah, we pressed this. We broke off the tip of Dark's knife, then planted it in the body. We pressed this, didn't we? Yeah, we pressed this. Yeah, we pressed this. How does it oh, we could have moved on this. Why did you move the body? That's a good question. We knew why she planted the knife, but why did you move the body? Facts number 101. Well, fair enough then. Let us look into this. Fact number 150. Let's see what we have here then. Perhaps this might help. Well, this is a sad, unfortunate fact. The average Briton has read fewer than half of the books that they own. Most unfortunate. Perhaps they're more decorative for them then. That is, interesting to note. But still, there we are. Read more. Reading more is always beneficial. When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the body, the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. Well, the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple.
Well, let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Skye moved the body.
The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. They threatened your plan? How? How would they have threatened the plan, It says Emma written on the surface. This lies and says everything against what you've been saying. Miss Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister.
You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered?
If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will all have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring it to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right.
Do you have a problem with that?
It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar.
Order! Order!
Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed with regards to this jar and its bloodied message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth.
Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony.
Yeah. She's saying that she saw the words Emma written in shattered blood? What? On the shattered jar? But that doesn't make sense. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have a time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood, not all of it. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all.
No, you didn't.
All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood?
It wasn't I wasn't Chief Prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
How then do we follow this up? You immediately noticed the blood traces. Okay. So the jar was already broken? It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier.
Well, it certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case.
Oh, but not as feeble as the judge's judgment, it seems. You are an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check that out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you'd do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came.
This is rather shocking.
To be safe, I wiped away the blood. I'm afraid that action of yours reveals what really happened.
What do you mean?
If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana, I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. No, you didn't. You did not. That is very much not true. And what's best is this means that we can actually implicitly state that this is Gant's involvement. Miss Skye, I believe the truth, this jar conceals a truth even you weren't aware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's office. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it.
But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene! Chief Gant got there before you!
But couldn't the defendant have simply misplaced Mr. Peace?
I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective.
Well, that may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Can you believe that?
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh, that!
There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness.
I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that?
No! Wait, I'm not the one on trial here.
Damon Gant arrived at the scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence.
But why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
What happened afterwards?
Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
But what? Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lana may be right after all. What do you mean, right? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. Can't set it up! Think about it. If Gant has the perfect opportunity here, if he sets up a situation that Lana will end up, like, Here's the thing. Gant happens to find this incident and then fabricates the evidence. If he's willing to fabricate some of it, why not fabricate all of it? It's a possibility at this point. We have to explore. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
All right. The witness may testify once more for the final time.
Okay. What is this actual scene then? When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor's sword. Emma and Doc were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's when I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was fabrication, Emma might be innocent. We finally got you to actually trust us.
Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the armor's sword?
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. You always did carry a camera and a pocket light as well. Good call. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Well, let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. Well, the only thing we got was this evidence law. Hey, there's a picture here. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detectives saw the crime scene like this. Because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest! Could that be the cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe? It is. But that indicates that just Emma pushed him. Just wait. This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever's fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Can we look at this photo? Yeah, something's interesting. Something doesn't sit right about this. The cloth we had. The cloth we had. It's right, but it seems too clean. Plus, here's the weird thing. Emma, or rather, Lana surely would have taken... Like, why is he missing part of this? The only reason he'd be missing part of this is if someone took it. But why would someone take it? The only person who'd take it would be Gaunt, but... also, as well, we can hardly claim it is the piece of cloth. For all we know, it's just a piece of cloth. We can't confirm it's that one. And it's like, the shirts, like, we can't tell if there's supposed to be blood there. It could be a different thing. We don't know what it is. It's just a piece of cloth.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Whoa. Okay. Gaunt?
Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gaunt? What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two for my defense.
I'm afraid it's too late for that.
What?
You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. So what? You think I'm worried? Don't mind me, I just stepped on an electrical output and got a shock. Nothing at all to worry about. And salutations, sunshine. It is a pleasure to see you here once again. We're slowly clawing in to Gaunt. We also, as well, just got given a picture. This is how the crime scene looked. Pretty bad. Definitely signs of a punctured lung there. Very, very much signs of a punctured lung. There is one, but the thing is, like, we've got this, and it's like, hey, there's a piece of cloth missing, and then we've got this cloth. The problem is this cloth is, I don't know, it's not absolutely confirmable that it could be that, but at the same time, it also seems, it's just something doesn't seem right. Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence.
Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence?
No, I don't. But someone does.
Someone?
So, what's your excuse, Righto? Evidence law. It's unregistered. We could prove it was relevant to the case.
Shit.
Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Mia Marshall, causing his death? No. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt?
Is this true, Mr. Wright?
If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer.
Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries.
What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? No, because it's very easily arguable. We could not determine what this was from. By evidence law, right? Unregistered evidence, which this is, must be relevant to the case on trial. At the time, we did not know this photo existed. At the time, we were unaware of what this is. At the time, we still cannot confirm where this comes from. So we cannot show evidence, and we cannot prove where it comes from. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
Oh, Phoenix! Look at that wording. That wording.
What?
Ta! You lie! Chief Guard? You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence.
I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why didn't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you?
You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it.
What are you talking about, Chief Gant?
Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? Well, it looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason.
You mean you had this in your safe?
What? Well, that means that you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Huh? Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer.
I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean, you admit to it?
But you're not allowed to admit to it, to testify, because you're literally standing on the stand testifying? Your Honor, he's not allowed to do this. This is him testifying. He's given up the right to do this. Why is he doing this? Get him out of here. I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her?
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, then when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Skye. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I heard her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe?
But why?
For insurance, of course. Insurance?
I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst.
See, here's the thing. The 2 pieces of evidence in the locker, we couldn't show anyway. Like, the only reason we could show the other one is because it was directly linked to the case, because it was directly linked to the jar that we can see in the photo where this happened. We could very clearly show that's what happened. We have no idea what this is. This is a piece of leather that Lana gave him a year ago. Could be anything. We have no idea what this is. Could be anything. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. No, by backstabbing, manipulating, falsifying evidence, covering my tracks. See this jar fragment? I hid the most eligible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too?
Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance.
You mean that piece of cloth?
Come now, Righto. Cough it up already. I know you have it.
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So, you admit to it then, Chief Gaunt, that you are hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe.
Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do all that, being chief and all, but it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence that you could present.
And I didn't.
Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it before it was too late.
It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Show the evidence. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now.
All right then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
It is this.
Ow! Oh! Ow! Ow!
This is it. Think about it. This is it. When did he cut it off the jacket? When? There is no way that you'd be able to cut perfectly around the bloodstain. Some of it would have gotten on the jacket. The leather would have absorbed it. There is not a drop of blood on this entire thing. If there is no blood at all on this, there is not a drop of blood anywhere on this piece of leather. That means that it was cut before he was impaled, before he spilled any of it onto the shirt, his jacket, his tie, anything. We have this backwards. That's gotta be it. That's gotta be it. So this now shows who did it. And Gaunt just incriminated himself. He said he cut this off the jacket. He told us exactly what this was. We had no way of knowing beforehand. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh yes! At last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests that to be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. That handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean?
It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence.
Oh. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy.
What?
Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Now why would that be?
You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to, they must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is Emma Skye.
Emma? Huh? Emma Skye?
What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? You're really something, right? Oh. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
Hold it. How could you? You monster.
Miss Sky?
You knew those fingerprints were there all along. You acted like she really didn't. Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet.
Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too.
You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence.
That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted.
I'll have your badge, boy.
What's the matter? Can't got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh?
And what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gaunt, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Sky, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction? What is this foolish babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gaunt, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. It's this picture.
And what exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood, and that's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but this piece of cloth... Wait a minute. There's no blood on it at all.
Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time.
No, this is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gaunt, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating your insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. It's finally over. Objection? Objection! Oh, that was close, Wright. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations.
What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see that piece of cloth?
This illegal evidence. Order! Order! What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Ajay? Earlier, old Wrighto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then what's your excuse, Wrighto?
You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you?
Your Honor, I do not have any evidence I can present at this point in time. If I'd have presented it then, it would have been illegal.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair! Oh, did you actually think you could beat me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son!
I'm afraid Mr. Gaunt's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright, do you admit it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth?
I did not. I admit it. I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal! No, it isn't, Mr. Gaunt. It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Archie, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe it. There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present the evidence. If you cannot prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
Here. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, and nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I didn't have approval from the police department. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall, when was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago.
No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gaunt. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest?
Oh, yes. Oh, no!
It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you!
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum! For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and when he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand this all over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worried so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint. Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car. I'm sorry. I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car and pay aside. How? How could you get Miss Skye involved in all of this? Well, she has as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker? I felt bad for having to do it, really. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments in the glove? Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way.
I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you will understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Archie.
Well, what?
Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are long gone now, Archie. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here. And Worthy, the man who I'm saying is exactly like me and therefore should not be trusted in any way at all. Yes, trustworthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. Ha ha ha. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me to forge evidence up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered.
I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. Yeah, I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. She's smiling! I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job.
In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are innocent of murder, however. Although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains.
Well, good. How about feeling these iron bars instead? Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, not guilty. Now do the confetti thing. Hey, there it is.
Fantastic. We did it.
That is all. This court is adjourned.
February 25th, 5:03. Wow, we were in court for 7 hours, minus a little bit for breaks. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted as a murder that she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now after the trial ended, I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have the past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
Oh, deja vu.
Oh, I guess I am. I'll come back later.
Wait, Gumshoe, what is it?
Girl, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run around all day while on duty. And to top it all off, you call me here and I've seen happier people at funerals.
Indeed.
Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding.
Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
Yeah, that's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lana! Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not well, I won't tell if you won't, pal. Plus, I'm not actually a detective anymore. I still ain't got my badge back, so, yeah, they just thought I was a detective. I'm impersonating a detective right now. Don't tell anybody about that, okay? I won't tell if you won't tell, pal.
Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago. Huh? Was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in this mess. Also notice that jacket is Damon Gant's jacket. It's thick. It's overly it's overly designed. Look, you can clearly see it's Damon Gant's jacket. I mean, you can't see his jacket, but that's Damon Gant's jacket. That's how we knew he was also there. Sis, I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. Huh? I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared you'd look at me with those eyes of yours, and I was scared how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me, and... No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma? I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma. Aww. That's wonderful. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there we can move on towards a brighter future. Aww. At least, that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe.
Me?
Thank you both for all you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth?
Edgeworth just sort of peers out from behind the door. I'm not here.
Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was just resting against this wall and leaning because I have a crick in the neck.
Why was he hiding?
I was stood right behind you perfectly. I just came to say congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Right. Well, I'll be going now.
Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you.
It's too late for me.
What?
No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes.
Mr. Edgeworth?
Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gaunt was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I needed a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now.
But, Edgeworth, you...
Who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gaunt did.
The falsifying evidence, or the blackmailing someone in the police department?
Or the prosecutor's office side of things. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor.
Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gaunt and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright?
What? Oh.
Yeah, what is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Okay. Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Well, you both had it. You both had half of a whole here. The evidence list. Half was found in Gaunt's desk that we came across by legal means, and half of it was with Edgeworth. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It happened because the game is scripted that way. I mean...
It's time for me to go.
Mr. Edgeworth? If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth! What will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, that's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, Mr. Wright. But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Why is Edgeworth the last one? Well, I think I'll drink it off just yet, pal. What? What is it, Detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the Chief Prosecutor. You see, she's supposed to be out of jail just like this. But I thought you said this was okay. Well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out of here for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, Detective! I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright is the one who'd be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, you think I can afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? Huh? Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. And once again, the end of this of the first fifth case. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. That would be nice. Good luck, though, with the criminal record. But no, this was a nice case. A little difficult towards the end, where you have to know about the evidence law and realize that Phoenix is presenting the trap, but yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. At the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalize you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easy. It was very fun. Because usually Phoenix acts as a surrogate for us in this instance, so it's difficult to then have Phoenix suddenly do something that you're not aware of in that instance, but it was well handled. A very nice twist to the end. Just had a couple loops where things felt like they were saying the same thing twice. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy! Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard! My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show him, though! Someday I'm going to make detective! Yes, sir! I could just be like that to Gumshoe, sir! Meekins, we wish you all the best. And the graphics coming through. This is nice. There's some interesting mechanics as well brought in. The Blue Badger can, oh good, we don't have to hear the music again. That's still a thing. That exists. Yep, that's definitely a thing. Can we move on now, please? That'd be great. Oh, good. Oh, it broke. That's unfortunate. That's fine. That's totally fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, it's all good.
What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this one into me. She's seen one of the guards, too. Oh, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Well, look into it. The sound was very good in this. There was a little bit that was a bit iffy. Miss Star. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. It's a sweet and sour kind of thing then. Very nice. Alright. The localization. Yeah, having it in a language that we understand was useful. And very nicely done for the most part. Couple of small errors in there, but
I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing, something or other for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be, Oh, no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go.
How do you forget the gavel, Your Honor? But yes, in this case, the game as a whole has been a lot of fun. We have learned a lot about the law of how this world works. It is difficult, but certainly there is more. And who knows? Maybe at some point we'll renew our... Maya! Aha! Nothing soothes the souls like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a fully fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick. Aw, what a nice location. Nice to see Maya again. We may come back for an advanced internship with the Wright & Co. Law Agency. That would be rather fun, if we do say so ourselves. Overall, this has been a very fun and enjoyable experience. We can understand that it may be difficult. Some of the investigations are a bit... Edgeworth? Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth? I brought you your tea. What's going on? Huh? Did Edgeworth leave? What happened? Either way, like we said, the investigations were a bit, linear's the wrong word. They had like a, oh, Emma, thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. What's in there? What's in this book, huh? Aww. Her first day on the force. And her sister as well. I mean, they're both saluting incorrectly, but close enough. Very well done. And that, we have risen from the ashes.